Right now, we're going to talk more about our main and top story of the morning. President Trump saying he's going to decide soon on whether to join Israel's campaign against Iran. The two countries trading attacks again today. Yesterday, Israel's main hospital in the southern part of the country was hit with an Iranian missile. Tel Aviv also hit by missiles, with one falling very, very close to the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange, partially owned, we should mention, by hedge fund manager Bill Ackman. Nir Barkat is Israel's Minister of the Economy and Industry and is with us this morning live from Israel. Good morning to you, sir. We appreciate you joining us so very much. Just speak to us, if you could, about sort of how you see this military escalation taking place. What happens over the next 2 weeks, and what do you think Israel does, almost irrespective of what the U.S. does?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. We have a very clear objective. Iran, the jihadi leadership of Iran, for decades, have built themselves to eliminate Israel off the map. They have focusing on creating nukes. They have a significant amount of ballistic missiles, and they built a proxy strategy around Israel. They funded and trained Hamas, Hezbollah, and regional cells, jihadi cells, that are focusing on terrorizing the state of Israel. And so what Prime Minister Netanyahu has done is been really, really focused on eliminating those proxies. And now we're focusing on making sure that Iran will never have the capabilities of nukes and will never have those capabilities of ballistic missiles to target Israel. Any country in the world understands what we're doing right now. And I think that the Iranian regime now understands that it's not worthwhile messing with Israel.
Minister, though, the question is, the U.S. has these bunker-busting bombs, and there's a question whether the bunker-busting bombs work. It is at all to begin with, but it's also clear that Israel doesn't have, I don't think, that kind of weaponry. And so if the U.S. doesn't come in behind Israel, what happens?
Well, I think we've demonstrated the creativity of the warfare Israel knows and is capable of doing. You saw the beepers in Lebanon crunching Hezbollah. You saw the first phase of the war, eliminating leaders of Iran, at least their army. And you saw that one stage after the other, we know how to get our things done. We've done our homework, and we're not going to stop. We're not going to stop. We're going to do this ourselves if needed, and if others join us, more than welcome, because we're not just fighting Israel's war. I want to share with you that this morning we saw pictures from Iran burning the Israeli flag and the U.S. flag. We in Israel are considered the little Satan, and the big Satan is the United States. We're all aligned here. We have the same goals, fighting jihadists that want to kill us.
So when the president says that he needs 2 weeks to decide what to do and to maybe sort of pursue some kind of diplomatic resolution to this, what's your position? Does that
we
help
understand
you?
the end game. Well, eventually, we will not stop this war until we are sure they do not have those capabilities. Because if they have those capabilities, they demonstrated that they will use them. If the proxies work, they used them in October 7. We cannot allow that again. They used hundreds of ballistic missiles targeting at Israel, and unfortunately we saw where also Israeli citizens have been, innocent civilians have been killed. You saw the attack on the hospital today, and we want to make sure that they never have nukes. We believe them, that they mean to use those nukes to eliminate Israel. We will not let that happen. So regardless if the U.S. joins us, and we'd of course be very happy to, but that's President Trump's decision to make, we are committed to the same, to the goals eventually. We have no choice but to make sure they don't have those capabilities.
Minister Barkat, does it even make any sense to talk about what the possibilities are for Israel to deal with Fordo if the United States declines to do that? You were a paratrooper.
Yep.
What would that look like? Would special forces, special forces be dropped nearby? I'm sorry.
Hopefully you agree with me that we don't want to let them know our plans. I don't think it's prudent to discuss the plans of how we take them out with you folks, because they also listen to CNBC. We don't want to give them that information.
But you're confident that if you'll do it on your own if you have to, and it's not going to be finished until Fordo I mean, probably everything. They say they've moved. I don't believe them. They say they've moved a lot of stuff out of Fordo. That's that's got to be taken care of to call this a mission accomplished.
We will accomplish all the goals of the war with Iran. We will accomplish all the goals in Gaza. We want our 53 hostages that are still in the tunnels, in the dungeons of Gaza. We want to make sure that Hamas will never exist after this war. They have to completely surrender, put down their weapon. And that day, by the way, the day that they return our hostages and put down their weapon, the war in Gaza will stop. And so we are committed, Israel's committed, to make sure that we'll never go back to October 6th. We will make sure that Iran does not have those capabilities to attack Israel or the moderate Arab states in the region. They're also really concerned about the power that Iran had. We want to make sure they don't have those capabilities.
Minister, does that effectively mean toppling the regime? Meaning there's sort of two component parts here. There's removing the nuclear capability of this country, and then there's who's running this country and what comes next.
Yeah, that's a decision of the people of Iran. I mean, if they do, we certainly won't shed a tear. And if we could chip in a bit of help, that we will do that. But that's not the goal. That's not the primary goal of our operations in Iran. We will settle for making sure they don't have those capabilities. We'd be happy if indeed something like this will happen. And I want to share with you that as Minister of Economy, I see a huge, huge spike of economic growth for Israel. The region in the Middle East is looking for us to complete the work. I'm sure that the Abraham Accords that President Trump really pushed forward can expand to include the Saudis, Indonesia, Azerbaijan, and we'll probably also find new solutions, different solutions with some of the leaders, local leaders in Israel to join the Abraham Accords in Judea and Samaria. And I'm very optimistic. I understand that the more you become bad with the bad guys, the better we become with the good guys. And the new alliances that will happen at the end of this war, I'm sure we're going to get significant prosperity, not just in our region. The world would be much, much better, much safer without Iran being such a bully as they were and still are, and we'll make sure they don't.
Mr. Barkat, if President Trump is watching and he sees that Israel is going to handle this one way or another, doesn't that sort of induce him maybe to stay out and say they're going to handle this? I mean, there is risks to the United States getting involved, and there's a lot of discussion on both sides over here about whether to do that. I mean, if you can handle it, I'm sure he'd prefer that you would handle it. I think the loss of life would probably be worse and extended, and all the fighting would go on much longer, obviously. So that might be something to consider. But
well, if I could
do you need the United States help? You need the United States help or not?
First of all, I could certainly say on behalf of all of Israelis and my prime minister and the whole government, we're very thankful, extremely thankful to President Trump and the United States. We use a lot of your weaponry, we get supply, we get your sort of an umbrella protecting Israel in the United Nations, and we do not take this for granted. Certainly be happy if the U.S. joins, and it certainly could shorten the time frame of this war. And I think that if I could say, I could say it's in Israel's best interest, but that's not the point. The point is, I'm sure that President Trump will act upon the American interests first, and we respect that. And if he decides to go on, we'd be happy, and we're thankful anyway.
What if there's another Iran deal? God help us. Another Iran deal for monitoring, enrichment, all the things that we know, Iran probably didn't comply with it in the past. But there are negotiations going on. If there were to be a negotiated settlement, would you honor that, or are you still going to take care of your business there with Fordo?
Well, if you have to chew, don't talk. Enough talking. We don't trust them. They're unfortunately a regime that is sending their children to commit suicide. They train to kill. And they have no problem lying and trying to smear the time. We understand that. It's not going to work. End of story. We're not going to stop this until we make sure that there's no nukes and there's no missiles aiming at Israel. Enough talk.
Minister, interestingly, the Tel Aviv stock market, which we just acknowledged at the top of this interview, had bombs literally landing next to it, yet it has been on a huge run. What do you make of that?
Well, I think the world understands that Israel is going to win this war and is winning this war, and the opportunities are huge, and that's why people are investing in our stock exchange. And I have to share with you, as Minister of Economy, I speak to many of my peers around the world. They want our experience. Look at the security side. Everyone around the world, our friends around the world are saying, hey, whatever you use to secure Israel, we want, because it's being tested. Fighting terror, combating terror. Our friends around the world are saying, share with us how to combat terror. And then that innovation also includes classic high-tech, agro-tech, food tech, desert tech, climate change, advanced industries. So the people understand that we're very innovative. We're and after a war, you see a huge spike of growth. So people are expecting that. And I see the huge opportunity, and we're preparing our infrastructure for economic growth. And that's why you see it in the stock exchange.
And then finally, Minister, just a personal question. How do you feel about your own safety and those who are in places like Tel Aviv and other parts of Israel as we read reports and hear about bombs raining down? And how many more bombs and other kind of missiles do you think Iran has and is able to position towards Israel?
Well, I'm happy you asked that question. You know, we're all, the majority of us have served in the army, and we manage risk, and we all understand that we have no choice. There's only one Jewish state. That's our secret. And in all wars, you see the war in Ukraine, 4 million Ukrainians left Ukraine. And everywhere there's a conflict, you see people leave the region. With Israel, 100,000 people came back to fight. And you see right now, there's a huge line of Israelis that want to come back, and they want to take part of the war. And so it's a question that Israelis answer very quickly. What do you mean? We have no choice. Of course we're here, and we're dealing with our security. We have really good bunker to protect ourselves. We have good army, and we have good defense, but also now we've demonstrated that we have really good offense. So all in all, we're telling the region, telling the world, don't mess around with Israel. We know how to deal with our challenges. Focus on peace with us, expand the Abraham Accord, but if you come to fight with us, you're going to lose your war.
Minister, I want to thank you so very much for joining us this morning, and we do hope you stay safe, and we do hope you come on back and keep us apprised of your progress.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. You bet.